Coming to paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Pre-order E-Steam Cancel Vacation on Amazon.com today. I got a chance to take a look at the trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman last week. And I wasn't expecting much from Matt Reeves' The Batman trailer because your Robert Pattinson was cast to be Batman and Bruce Wayne. Now, your Robert Pattinson comes from Twilight, which was an absolute garbage movie, but here in this movie, it looks like he's taken his craft to another level. And I have to say that this is the best Batman movie I have seen since Tim Burton made Batman back in 1989. Now, one of the reasons why I really love the 89 version of Batman is because it's just like a comic book come to life, and Michael Keaton looks just like the Jim Aparo version of Batman, and Jack Nicholson's Joker is as close to a Jim Aparo Joker as you can get it. And the visuals in Tim Burton's Batman are just so strong and distinct that the film feels timeless. And that was something that was missing from the Nolan movies, which really feel and look outdated from the visual perspective. In spite of the powerful performances, the visuals aren't very strong in the Nolan movies. But when I take a look at Matt Reeves, the Batman, the visuals are extremely strong, and they basically look like they come straight out of a Batman comic book. That is one of the strengths of watching Matt Reeves' The Batman trailer, is like you feel like you're in a comic book come to life, and you feel like these characters are basically jumping off the page and coming alive. And that's one of the strengths of the visuals here with the Batman, is you feel like you're in the middle of a live action comic book. And one of the things that I really like about this movie is it looks like we're going to see a focus on not Batman the hero, but Batman the detective. And that's shown up with us with the opening scene where the Riddler or someone of his stooges is being arrested, and we get the question mark swirled in the coffee. And that starts to let me know that we're going to be in for a mystery type movie where we're finally going to get to see Batman's detective skills in action. And that's one of the things I wanted to see for a long time in a Batman movie, is Batman being a detective, using his critical thinking skills and matching wits with a criminal where he tries to find a way to outsmart that criminal instead of just bashing heads in. It's more him matching wits with this criminal in an effort to try to outsmart him and solve these crimes or stop him from participating in his obsessive crimes. I'm hoping to see a lot more psychology in the Batman based on what is presented here, and I'm hoping to see a lot more detective work where Bruce is using forensics and clues and things like DNA to help him work towards solving the crimes that the Riddler is committing. So the Riddler is looking like he's the primary villain, but we're also seeing some really good portrayals of other characters like Oswald Cobblepot, which is looking like an Oscar possible worthy performance from your Colin Farrell, because this is a transformation level performance. If you look at Colin Farrell's work in the past, this looks like it's on another level. And then we have your Zoe Kravitz, who as Catwoman, which is looking like a very strong performance. So this movie is looking very promising based on what is in the trailer, but I don't want to get my hopes up too high regarding Matt Reeves' The Batman, because I remember the turd that was Wonder Woman 84, which also had a very promising trailer, but turned out to be a big pile of Amazon crap when I saw it on HBO Max.
And I'm hoping that I'm not disappointed by Matt Reeves, the Batman, and I'm hoping that he becomes the definitive director of a Batman movie for this generation, the same way Tim Burton was for Gen Xers, the same way your Nolan or Goyer was for millennials, and I'm hoping Gen Z gets their version of the Batman. And I really like this costume because the cowl reminds me a lot of Neil Adams, and the suit reminds me a lot of Year One. So there's a lot of comic book homages in this movie, and I'm finally happy to see an actual car be the Batmobile and not some Sherman tank like thing. I'm finally glad to see Batman being brought back to his roots, and I'm glad to see Batman being brought back to the character he originally was, being hopefully a detective, and I'm hoping that this movie really starts to bring back some more balance to the Batman character, because as I've seen in the comics, the Batman character has gotten so dark that and gone so militarized that it's not like the Batman I grew up with, who was out here being a detective and had a balanced life. And I'm hoping that's another aspect to the character they bring to the character, showing that there is some Bruce Wayne and that has a life, and that there's is not everything is the Batman, but we get to see a whole balance to the Batman character that I haven't seen since the 80s or the early 90s, where we saw Bruce having his life and still having time to be Batman. And I'm hoping that this movie does pay off with a excellent movie that meets the standards that were presented with the fantastic visuals of the trailer. The trailer, again, basically feels like finally we're getting a movie that gets us closer to a comic book come to life from DC and Warner Brothers, and it looks like an absolutely fantastic movie. And I'm crossing my fingers and hoping this is the movie that gets your DC back in the game, because Marvel Studios desperately needs some competition with trash like Eternals that they're producing. And I'm hoping that this movie really shows us that you can really do some balance to the Batman character, that you can not just also be dark and gritty, but you can also give us a more balanced picture of things and build this rogues gallery and this new world of Batman, and give us a Batman that would possibly be the Batman that Gen Z could grow up and enjoy. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks in a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business at paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.